Games, board games, board games. I might be talking about digital board games, but I'm not gonna shout. I Pardon me, played a bunch of games on Board Game Arena, and I guess that makes me a game player. And I'm going to talk about linkage and more. Art Thief, rolling pins, and drones versus seagulls I've got in store. Ticket to Ride and Trusis I also played. I'll talk about the thoughts I had and the conclusions that I made. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good whatever it is, wherever you are. It's 10 a.m.-ish UK time for Busy Beats and Board Game Blether. And hello, Xate. Long time no see. And I'm being flippant. Basically, this show is mainly about games that Xate and I played together. And yeah, just as I said, Linkage, it was. Let me actually share the screen. Linkage, I really like abstract strategy games. And so it's an absolute delight to know that my friend Xate also enjoys them. For me, it felt very unique. I mean, there's lots of games about making lines or getting something to somewhere else or, surrounding pieces. But here in Linkage, you take turns to put down pieces, and it's about how many groups are there at the end. That's definitely something unique. I mean, when I say definitely, yeah, I think it's something unique. You're never sure. But yeah, Linkage was a lovely game. Eventually won it. Art Thief, I played that. There's definitely something there. We won it together. Then I was playing it with also a stranger that started before and hasn't quite finished, but will probably. Rolling Pins, it's got a lots of randomness. I mean, honestly, like, otherwise, if it didn't have randomness, I probably wouldn't have won. It is a game that, having read the Board Game Geek description and the rules on Board Game Geek, there are some bits that were missing on Board Game Arena. I think it might be still in alpha or beta, and so I think there might be some work to be done still. But I would definitely play it again with the special powers that were mentioned. Oh yeah, I finished the game with my friend Dave. Um, I mean, I literally just pressed to skip. We scored 8 points, which is, I think, very good, but I kind of think of it as rubbish because drones versus seagulls. This was my big surprise. I adored this. I mean, a perfect information game. You've got cards. It's kind of like area majority, and every place when you take over, you've got some superpowers and go boom. I'm going to do this. Boom. I'm going to do this. Boom. Um, it says it's in beta, and if it were in alpha, then mentioning it here would be a breach of the terms of service. Well, thank you for making the distinction. So if it's in beta, does that mean that they might still be adding functional features, or does that mean that it's basically done? Because, I mean, reading the rules of, I don't know if we both missed something fairly major, and I did definitely read the rules on Board Game Arena, but when I read the rules on Board Game Geek, like, there's definitely a whole extra bit where, I'll get into that in a minute. Oh yeah, Tickets Right, I won that by quite a bit. And Trusis, I was waiting hours for a game. I mean, I wasn't doing only waiting for this game, but I waited like 2 hours 46. And then eventually I started chatting with this person, Cordileone, I think, and we had some lovely chats. And I think they're the co-designer, and we ended up playing one, two, three, four, five games together. And also there was a turn-based game. Anyway, I'll have a quick. And now I'm apparently a game guru. I mean, it's a bit sad. I mean, I feel like it deserves more supportive people than me to be a game guru. But I'll get into my opinions of all these things in a moment. And just to clarify, Xate says beta means open to the public to review and help fix up bugs, but that it is functioning generally well enough to play. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, the basic framework of the game is there, even though there might be a special power or two that are missing. So yes, what I mean, the whole show is about recent highlights, but other than that, what have I been up to? I had no water, and so I was given some bottles of water by my lovely neighbours. But yes, now then the water came back, so I had water again as of late last night, which was lovely, and that was definitely a highlight. Um, yeah, did a brief bits of shopping to the supermarkets. Other than that, it was just playing board game arena games, sleeping, and probably watching about half an hour of videos, maybe an hour of Dragon's Den and stuff. Yeah. Anyway, let's talk about a brilliant thing. Brilliant thing. What's a little thing which is brilliant? Um. So a brilliant thing is to, yeah, be respected. I mean, respect itself is a brilliant thing. Now, I'm actually thinking of this because, without saying too much, on a private group, I disagreed with someone and they were like, "Oh, why would you say that?" And I tried to, like, I mean, I hope I looked back at what I wrote, and whilst two people said, "Yeah, Bez is totally correct and should be listened to here," and the other person, but, you know, there was a possible way that they could have misinterpreted one of the lines where I was talking about the game being already done, and maybe they thought I was meaning the conversation was done. But I think fundamentally it's really important to just respect each other, like as humans, as individuals. Like, even if we disagree, I think we can hopefully disagree respectfully, and I think a respectful disagreement and discussion is better, to my mind, than just staying quiet. And I think it is important to reaffirm that, I do have a base level of love and respect for humans. It is very easy so for people to fall down in that. Like, if people do something messed up, I'll be like, okay, I'm going to start paying less attention to them. That's, there's a very small number of individuals like that. I mean, 90% of people are good, and I think it's important to bear that in mind and have some base level of respect. And also just saying, hey, I respect you, I love you, like vocalizing it. And so if I've never spoken to you, then, I probably, love you and respect you somewhat as a human. And if I if you're my friend and I've not spoken to you recently, or even if I have spoken to you recently, hope you know that I love you and respect you. And so, yeah, that's just a brilliant thing, that love and respect, and also reaffirming it. Also, it ties into being a guru, which Xate mentions. It's easy to be a guru on a new and not yet popular game. Once there are more popular, once there are more players, I mean, hopefully once, and not just if, it's not as easy. So does that mean that you stop being a guru? Does that mean that the gurus change? Or is it like a grandfathered in? Like, if you were one of the earliest gurus, you might not actually know that much about the game, but if you're one of the gurus later on, you'll know more about the game. But I'm mildly curious. Anyway, that is that. As always, feel free to comment, ask questions, fun like follow. I mean, Xate, if you are watching this, then obviously you've got a lot to say because you were there for most of these. Let's be crack on. It occurs to me that I never really talk that much about Strands. Strands is actually a really cool game by, I have a friend called Xate who might actually really enjoy this. Strands, view game replay. So let me choose myself. So in Strands, what happens is you are placing pieces on those numbers. And if you choose one, you place one piece. If you place two, you choose two pieces, and so forth. And at the end, you're trying to get a big contiguous shape. And that's the whole game. Like, you're trying to connect this thing. And as you can see, like, I started off doing okay, and then I kept on doing okay. And like, but it was a close game. It was definitely interesting. And my opponents had to go off to work. I then had to, yeah, it's one of many games by, oh my gosh, I'm forgetting the designer now. This is terrible, but definitely needs more investigation. Dice Theme Park. This is a game that I've got the physical version of, but haven't had a chance to play through. And on Board Game Arena, just because everything's taken care of you, it's easy to play through and learn the game as you go, which is really nice. Because as opposed to, are you saying you couldn't figure out Dice Theme Park, or you couldn't figure out Strands? I'm assuming Dice Theme Park. I mean, it is definitely one where, yeah, which one? Oh, Dice Theme Park. Okay, so yeah, I think it is a somewhat complex game. There's a really interesting puzzle of placing stuff, taking the dice. Okay, the dice go there, then there, then there. You need to shift the proximity of these things that you're placing has meaning, because dice are going to be moving between adjacent spaces. So if somewhere needs a yellow thing, then you probably want other bits that need yellow things near there. And if there's a place where you're likely to be able to get pairs, you want the theme ride that needs pairs at that area. And so as the game goes on, you're going to be getting cards that give you special abilities. Dice, like, one thing I'm not too fond of is the fact that higher dice are basically always better, and I do like stuff like Waggle Dance. I mean, Mike Nod, so good. Waggle Dance, where a 1 is just as good as a 6. There's no, oh, a 6. Like here, every time you use a die, it ticks down. So, like, all those pips are the enjoyment factors, or like spending potential you could imagine it is. And then every time you've got a bunch of people, then their pips are going down, and then you're trying to eke out the maximum. Like, as I talk about it, it sounds like a real capitalistic nightmare, doesn't it? And it is kind of like that. A web of bureaucracy, a puzzle of trying to. It doesn't. Compared to Dice Hospital, which is the obvious. It is definitely very different. I mean, the dice still represent the people. They kind of still represent anthropomorphized things that in Dice Hospital you're trying to bring them back up to 6, which is their maximum health. Here, I mean, if the numbers are their health, I mean, I think it's more like their spending potential or their enjoyment value. It is, again, a very solo puzzle. It is a fascinating puzzle, and I think, again, it's one that I would probably, enjoy more with 2 players, maybe even 1 player, compared to a 4-player game. But there's definitely a satisfaction to be had as your park grows and you think like, okay, this time I'll be able to get the dice to go there and there and there. It's definitely a step up in complexity from Dice Hospital. There's definitely a lot more planning ahead. There's definitely a lot more, oh, I've got to do that and that. A bit more of, okay, which ones of these things am I going to upgrade? Which ones of my theme parks am I actually going to be able to get money out of, or be able to activate a second time if I give myself that opportunity? And by the end, is there's not really. There's a bunch of nice little moments. There are a few satisfactions, like if you get one of those parks where you have to have three things all in one go, then you, boom, I managed to do this, I managed to arrange my dice in there. There is a satisfying puzzle. I don't have much more to say to it, and I'm thinking now how long this is going to go. But yeah, Board Game Arena, it's a nice way to learn games. And you can see my opponent's thing over there. What happens is that one of these little upgrade markers allows you to get extra money each time it's done. The other one allows you to, and there's definitely balancing the notion of, well, when you're getting new theme rides, are you going to get ones that are easy to solve? Like here, you need 3 dice. You need at least 1 green die, which is in the middle, and 2 die of any other color. But it needs to be actually consecutive, which is not quite what the iconography suggests to me. I mean, that iconography just suggests to me it could be 1, 4, 6, whereas in reality it needs to be 1, 2, 3. Every turn you're also placing your little people. You're choosing special abilities, so it might be that you get it, and so you're kind of just making a declaration at the start of the turn. This is what I'm going to focus on now. Maybe you're really going to focus on building. Maybe you're really going to focus on operating the rides. Maybe you're focusing on bringing back your people, because one of these little cards can bring back the people. The administrator is meant to bring in a little bit of asymmetry and keep you divergent in future games. And then the special guests, which you do every turn, it's basically always worth getting. And I mean, as far as I could tell, I very much regretted the one time that I didn't get it when I was still working out what was going on, which either you just, I mean, I thought that these were just going to be a one-time special effect, but no, you keep using them and using them every turn. So there is a feeling of growth. There is a feeling of satisfaction. There is a feeling of, I get to do more and more, and every turn it builds on that complexity. And so within one game, it kind of reminds me of Agricola in a lot of ways. I mean, in the vaguest sense that you're getting, like if you look at the next round, I mean, before they all went away here, sure, choose your upkeep, but every turn, as well as these admins, you're going to choose another admin, and the complexity builds up, the combo potential builds up, the puzzle of what order you do these things and how you lay them out builds up. And yeah, and I will say that that is designed by Daryl Andrews and someone else. I do apologize to the co-designer. Dice Theme Park is by Daryl Andrews and Adrian Adamescu. There we go. And I do have a slight affiliation with the publisher, having previously worked for them and whatnot. Yeah, going through it, it feels like, wow, that's quite epic. And also, it's interesting how, can I just say it? Yeah, it's interesting how different the speed of playing versus replaying a game is sometimes on Board Game Arena. Like, if you've got a lot of movement and a lot of dice movement, obviously that's going to take a lot of time. And it can feel a little bit bitty, but no, I'm really interested in playing this more. I'm interested in exploring the potential bits in the box. I'm interested in seeing what's going on, and yeah, Sate, is this a game that you would like to play in real life? I am curious. Let me know if this is a game that you would like to play in real life, or if you've had that opportunity. And yeah, I am of the mind of yeah, def- I would like to learn it. Not sure if I would like it. Do you think I would? I mean, yeah, this is the old. Who would I recommend this game to? Look, do you need strong player interaction from your games? Because I personally, unless there's like Agricola, when I read a review of that originally, yes, there is a lot of focus on your board, but every turn you're claiming the stuff, and there we go, we just finished. 139 to 136, very, very close. Um, Xate says, who are these players and why are they interfering in my game? I mean, yeah, if you're happy to have a two-player game, if you want a two-player game or a one-player game, or maybe even a four-player game where, okay, you do your own thing and then the other person's doing their own thing and then you trust each other to solve your own puzzles, but it's not like you have an audience for you solving your puzzle, I think that you'll enjoy it. I think that, yeah, and yeah, I would say that you're sharing a space. There's three decisions that you make. Okay, the administrators are randomly dealt. Which of these special things are you taking? Which of these special things are you taking? Which of the dice are you taking? And I mean, maybe you always want the highest dice. I think it like occasionally you'll want something else, which makes the game kind of interesting because sometimes it is about the colors or what other people are doing. And yeah, I would admit some, and then everyone's competing for the same thing. So there is a bit of, hey, you can try and do this and try and get the majority, but I mean, that's a subset of the points. You can look at this, and out of everything we were competing for, we got 12 points, whereas the total scores were 139. So out of 100 and let's say 136 points, 124 of them were from stuff that had nothing to do with the other people. I would, yeah, I'd recommend giving it a go. Maybe when you come over here. But yeah, Dice Theme Park. I enjoyed it. And Bandinol Artichokes. Not going to play both of these, but Bandinol Artichokes by Emma Larkins. A super lovely game. Really light. And each turn, I mean, this is basically like, if I wanted to be dismissive, this is baby's first deck building game. If, but if I in my honest personal opinion, this is a unique twist on deck building where it's kind of like deck trashing, where you start off with these artichokes, you're selecting your special power, and then you get to do your special power straight away. You don't have to wait. It's not like, oh, it goes to discard pile and then you do it later on. It's just like, boom, I get to do this. And so Emma Larkins has done an amazing job with the beetroots where you're swapping things, and then sure, if you've got a bunch of only beetroots left, then you're guaranteed to get rid of a beetroot, but you might get two beetroots back, you might get a nice thing back. Conversely, if you overload on the beetroots, you can't use both of them really, because let's say you have like you can't guarantee that you'll, and so that's a little nice little wrinkle. And then you've got things that are spiteful, where you're stealing from the other player, stuff where you're discarding stuff, but then you get rid of the carrots, and that's the end of it. You've got your corn and your, I think, peppers, where you're building stuff up and preparing yourself, and there's basically two ways to win. I mean, there's one win condition, have no artichokes when you draw your next hand, but there's two ways that you can do this. Either you can get rid of all of your artichokes and then boom, you don't have any to draw. The other way you can do it is to have so many cards. Like here, I had 18 cards, and I'm sure there were a good number of artichokes, but just because I had so gosh darn many, I managed to draw without artichokes. And it's nice that there's, two different strategies. And so if you want a quick, simple, easy to learn, something with a good amount of luck, something where it's high interaction, you can be a bit spiteful, you can be a bit of a jerk, you can get in your opponent's face, Yeah, this is a cool game. Oh yeah, and Couple, that's a game that I played, but you know how I feel about that. I enjoy it. So yeah, Linkage, I just thought this was beautiful, and I could have, I hope that Xate didn't just let me win at the end. I was bound to win eventually, but we were learning together, and you can see there's okay, what do you do? You're placing, you've got 24 pieces, 6 blue, 6 white, 6 red, 6 yellow. And as I mentioned, one player's trying to have more, one person's trying to have fewer. If it's 11 or fewer shapes, then that player wins. If it's 12 or more shapes, then the other player wins. And it seems to be perfectly balanced. I think every time we played, it was on 11 or 12, which is really interesting. There were emergent strategies. I feel like Xate definitely understood the game faster than me. And at one point I was trying to bring similar colors together, but then it was like, haha, if I run out of one color, then you have fewer colors to try and diversify stuff. And so it felt like I was learning from game to game. It felt like there was a lot. And I feel like if I continue to play a couple more games, I would continue to learn. There's showing all the games from my point of view. So it says you are the winner at the top, says Xate. No, that wasn't intentional. That was just, yeah, honestly, it was completely random, arbitrary. I find it really interesting how you can make these little one square spaces, and I find it quite satisfying doing that. Also, I think it's just because the top of the screen is where my thing landed, so I'm always showing it from the winner's perspective. So I get to relive the experience as a winner every time. That's a nice thing about Board Game Arena replays. But yeah, there's definitely emergent strategies of, okay, running out of particular colors. The one simple rule of each tile you place can be anywhere as long as it's next not touching the previous one. Super simple, super clear to explain. There's just enough tiles. As you can see, there's 4 squares remaining. There's 2 domino tiles remaining. There's just enough tiles to cover the board, but you're not going to, because people are probably going to make little squares. And yeah, I still don't feel like I've properly cracked that game. And it feels like, whilst it is a perfect information abstract strategy game, it's one of those things where each individual move feels low stakes enough that I can just play it in a sort of semi-mindless, meditative way. Yeah, I would play this anytime. Art Thief. I was actually pleasantly surprised by this. Um, so again, we were learning together. What's going on is that you place a card and then you move your little pawn. And what I didn't realize was that white can only move on white or grey, and black can only move on black or grey. So whilst you're building up a set of pathways for one player, you're doing the same for the other player with two perspectives on the same landscape. And it's a really fascinating puzzle. So after playing it, I do realize that maybe you might actually just want, okay, all the white stuff on one side, the black stuff on the other side, and the grey stuff kind of wherever it's needed. Um, there's You've got to both be on an icon to capture it. So in the easy game, which is what we were doing, we had blue, purple, red, and this sort of golden frame to win, to collect, and you do that by both players being on that tile. So here, this is on that frame, and where's the other meeple? There, on that frame. There's definitely lots of planning together. There are other options you can try. So game options, yeah, we were playing on easy mode, and so I'm very curious to play it again. I had already started a turn-based version of this before I played this game, and that turn-based version, it started before, it'll finish after, and you definitely want to. It's one of those games that you definitely want to play with someone that you are able to chat to and talk with. It is all about that orchestration. Now imagine that if you've got one strong personality and one weak personality, it could be susceptible to, the alpha gamer problem. I'm not 100% sure how the end game came about. Sate made the point that the end game where you lose if you don't have the painting that's mentioned in that red card already stolen by the time it comes around. I mean, I wonder if it always goes from in a certain order, or if, and there's definitely a good amount of luck, but I definitely found this an intriguing puzzle, and I would be interested to explore it a little bit more. Now, rolling pins. Again, replay. There we go. Um, so apparently, this is based on a public domain game where you are rolling dice and you cross off stuff that adds to that total. Wow, that was a fast replay. That was probably the fastest replay to game time thing ever. So I roll the dice, I roll a 7. I can either cross off a 7 or a 6 plus 1 or a 5 plus 2 or a 4 plus 3. Once I've crossed off something, I can't do it again. So straight away I'm thinking, okay, maybe I'll leave the 1 and maybe I go for the highest number I can. And that's only occurred to me on, like, I guess once I knew the rules, to be fair. It's not like a difficult game or anything. It is incredibly random. But then you've got this little thing which changes the value, or that changes the results. You can change results as much as you want in one turn, but you can only do it once per round that you've had. So if you go down, you can see that there's 10 rounds. Over the course of the game, you're going to be able to modify the results 10 times. And so if you roll a 12 and you're rolling, I mean, I guess you could reduce it by 1 in this instance to have a 10 and a 1. The next time, if you roll a 7, you could up that by 2 and make a strike. Now, bowling scoring does actually lead to dramatic moments because, sure, if you do a 6 and a 3, that's fine. It's 9. But, like, if you score a spare, which is knocking off all 10 things, not only do you score 10, but you also add on whatever you score with your first ball next round. For a strike, not only do you score 10, but you also add up your scores for both your balls next round. And then if you do a double or a triple strike, like I managed to score a double at this point, like that can just keep going up. And if you manage to get strike after strike, then that can really lead to some excellent results. I think if I were to play it again, I'd be kind of thinking, okay, up to 6, I'll just be getting the best I can, and then from 7 onwards, I'll use all my things to try and get the strikes. I'm not sure I'm on board with the, oh, you get 1 per round. I mean, give us the opportunity to splurge it all at the start if we want. Why do you need to ration it out? I mean, is that just so that people feel like they've got some opportunities at the end? I mean, I guess so, but it's also by having them all available at the start, surely, then you open up more opportunities for skillful play. In the instructions I read on Board Game Geek, it refers to some pins, which, if you knock them down, which should be coloured in grey. And if I go back, so apparently some of these pins are meant to be grey, and there's meant to be some special abilities on the side. And if you knock the pin down on your first roll, yeah, you get the points. But if you knock it down on your second roll, you get a special ability, like a once per game ability. That might be like, okay, you get to do this, or you get an automatic strike, or which is probably the best. Or if you, oh, maybe you didn't start with the expand options game. Maybe. Yeah, you might be right, Sate. I mean, there is parallel players advanced play mode. Yeah, it says advanced play mode, no. So maybe we should have gone for advanced play mode, yes. I think you are right. Says, yeah. How would I, yeah, rolling pins. If I go to the game, and then if I play this game now, but then I cancel, nope, I don't want to do that. I just want to go to the game page to see what the default options. Turn by turn, advanced play mode. It doesn't say what the advanced play mode is. So I'm going to assume that the advanced play mode. Oh wait, have I accidentally started the game? I think I've accidentally started the game. I totally didn't mean to do that. So, oh yeah, there you go. You see the grey dice, and you've got special abilities. So, yeah, I guess I'm doing a live play of this. So I'll do my 11. I'll go for. I mean, the 8 and the 3 is the obvious answer because I don't want to cross off the 1 or the 2. And I'll keep rolling because I want that M10. Okay. I mean, at this point, I guess and you're allowed to just skip if you want. It is turn-based. Okay, great. Thank you for pointing that out. I will probably just leave it for a while. But yeah, I definitely want to play that again. which I guess I am now. Brilliant. So I'm playing it. Yeah, I think that with the basic rules, it seems like something for an introductory play for a non-gamer, maybe for children, for someone who's completely brain dead and doesn't want too much. I mean, honestly, I could have played 5 rounds of the basic mode and been happy. 10 rounds of the basic game mode felt a bit too much for me. But if you were playing it in real life, you wouldn't need to play that many. And I would absolutely, yeah, I'm looking forward to that advanced game. Anyway, Drones versus Seagulls. This is such an amazing game. I'm honestly, yeah, definitely going to be playing this one again. Oops. Do-do-do. Um, so, um, you've got your cards. You've got your. Wow, that was a. Um, that was a very quick replay. Um, let me step through that turn by turn. View game replay. Oh, I think I messed up there. I think I clicked the wrong buttons. Um, so yeah, you're taking turns, placing a card. You've got all your cards available to you, your ones, your twos, your threes, your fours, and even 1-5. Now, we started off just doing whatever, and it's kind of area majority where you've got 7 different areas. If it gets to the end of the game, then you're yeah, I totally misclicked. I didn't realize what I was clicking by the end. I completely got that wrong. Thanks, Sate. Um, so yeah, if you get control of all 7 of these areas, and you can see that I'm only missing one, then boom, you win the game. Conversely, if it gets to the end, then whoever controls more of the areas wins the game, and there's 7, so it's never going to be a tie. But here's the fascinating bit. Not only are you placing cards of different numbers to seize control of these areas, but also every one of these areas has an associated special ability. Move one of your cards. This allows you to maybe move something away where it's not doing a lot of good and move it somewhere away so you can seize control of something else. Destroy an outpost so you can go like boom in your face. And this is like a really vicious game. So maybe like where I'm losing 1-2, I could seize control of that potentially. Um, an equality advantage in case of, and this is probably the weakest one. I don't know what you think, Sate. The new turn outpost, this feels like the strongest one. You seize control of it, you get a whole new turn, and every turn can be a combo. So I might go here, I might take control, then I might move one of my opponent's things, and then because of that, I might take control of a new thing. And each thing I take control of, I get to activate that in my own turn. But, and here's the other interesting bit, if I give you control of something in my turn, you don't get to activate the ability. So you only get to activate the ability if you take control of it. So it's all about, well, maybe I'm going to give this up, so you're more likely to win, but you don't get the ability. So, haha, you don't get your extra turn, or haha, you don't get to destroy my stuff. And Recruits is obviously amazing. It's like literally stealing something over to the other side. And here, Xate has just played there, so Xate is going to recruit the 3 and then takes control over that, which means that now Xate gets to play another turn and then gets to take over here. And I go there, I recruit, and then I take that, and then I get another turn and I play a card and I go there. And so there's a lot of exciting back and forth. And I think the other fascinating thing is that as your as you are down, as more of the middle bits are flicked to your opponent's color, you are, let me spread this out because it keeps on. You are actually more able to trigger stuff. So here in game two, I think I did something majorly wrong where, yeah, Xates went, hey, I'm going to recruit. I'm going to take that, get an extra turn, boom. That's like the shortest game ever. And then conversely, here we were going right until the end, and I felt like I was losing. And then there's like this fascinating game. It could go at any time because of the way that things combo, and it does feel exciting. And then we were getting to the end, and I looked up the rules. What happens is if one player plays out their entire hand, maybe they've managed to play more cards because of the play again thing, then you know. So if they played out their last card, they set aside one outpost. It's definitely theirs, and then the opponent plays their final card. There's something really, really interesting about all of these abilities feel different. All of these abilities feel meaningful. It's not like there's another ability where, oh, why didn't they do that? It feels like this covers the entire gamut. So, oh yeah, I totally forgot. So that was Linkage by Ethan Larson, Art Thief by Heather Gunn, Rolling Pins by Veselko Kelava, and this is Drones versus Golland, in French, also known as Drones versus Seagulls by Leo Blandin, Delphine Robert. And so, yeah. And Xate says, yeah, I was doing that to you a lot. That's how I did it. You looked at the rules and didn't tell me that bit. Which bit? Sorry. I thought I'd get you because I would play my last card and end the game. Ah, okay, the ending bit. I mean, the end bit never even came, so you can't use that as an excuse. But can I just, yeah, I'm going to go over this because I didn't even realize I'm going, um, just want to step, here we go. So, Sate made a move, recruited me, moved me, and took over something, and I was like, okay, well, have I lost? Surely there's something that I can do because there's so much possibility. I mean, I'm losing 2-5, but that's 5 things that I could possibly trigger. So I play with the move one of your own cards. I move this one over there, where, hey, I lose control of something, but I get to move my opponent's card. I moved this over, so now suddenly 2 things swap around. And again, you only get to activate these on your own turn. So I'm allowed to destroy something, and potentially I'm allowed to get another turn again. So I destroyed that. I get to recruit something. I get to take another turn. And I guess, and then now, boom, with my final card. And that really came out, so like it was something where I was definitely was halfway through it. I was kind of struggling to work out what was going on, but there's a lot going on. It is a perfect information abstract strategy game in that you know every possibility. Like, there is no hidden information once the game has started. There's randomness in the setup, but yeah, this feels really, really surprisingly brain burning for what is a short game. I think that if we were allowed to play just one round, I would have gone for like one more round of this. And Slate agrees, yes, it was unexpected. But yeah, drones versus seagulls. Drones versus golons, as it's called. That was, yeah, quite the game. Now let me quickly share my thoughts on Ticket to Ride and view game replay. That's what I want. Choose player. I actually really like Ticket to Ride on Board Game Arena. It's a really nice implementation. I think some games, like honestly, no disrespect, but Art Thief and Carcassonne, when you've got to drag around, when you can't just look around the table and see everything all in one go, any tile laying game, it's not as nice on Board Game Arena. Anything where you've got like a lot of stuff to look at. But here, I mean, I don't have to look around the board and show off what I'm possibly looking at. I can highlight this. No one else is looking at my eyes. I can see exactly what I'm looking at. It's like boom. That's what's going on. And then when I ponder and I think, okay, I'm going to keep these two because they clearly work well together. I think I was very lucky, by the way, to have things that cover, I think, Seattle to New York. It's Seattle, yeah, Seattle to New York. I'm going to say this is a really, really blooming good card because, I mean, these sixes, if you're playing long train routes, then not only are you getting more points because I think how to play, let me remember. I think it goes like, oh yeah, there we go. 1, 2, 4, 7, 10, 15. So for playing a 6, you are getting more than twice as many points as someone who just plays 1s and 2s. And you're playing about 4 times as many points as someone who just plays 3s. Not only that, but you're saving turns because you're putting them down. It's like, yeah, getting the yellow, orange, pink. Like, I was really worried that people would get in my way. I was like, oh, is someone going to come in here? But like, no one was going for that. But like, if you're able to get that done, then that is really strong. The game itself, it's got this triumvirate of actions, getting the tickets, which is your objectives, picking up the train cards during the game, which allow you to place track, and of course the placing of the track. I do find that in most high-level games, there might be a tiny, oh, I want to mark this one place, like a tiny 2 points track, which is easy to get to, and you don't want anyone to, you might also just place there because a lot of people want to go there. Like, I'm just guessing that at a very, very high level, someone might play the Pittsburgh to New York thing just to say, well, if someone's got Seattle to New York, I don't want them winning. I'm going to get in their face just preemptively. And if you do that, then other people don't know if you're just doing it as a spoiler tactic. So it's not like they can just go Pittsburgh to Toronto to necessarily hurt you. Let me go to the end of the game. So, as usual for a Ticket to Ride, there was lots of drawing. I was trying to amalgamate the things that I needed, the orange, yellow, pink, green. That's basically all I wanted. But drawing from the top of it does, if you're lucky, give you some train cards. And I was lucky. I mean, I think we were all basically drawing from the top. And I'm not going to draw like the pink cards until I'm like, okay, I'm actually able to get 6 of them. And if I'm able to get 6 of them combined with my locals, my locomotives, then I'm thinking, well, maybe I play now Or maybe I'll wait a bit and see if I can just do it with traditional pink and just go down with the basic pink. As you can like see, I think there were a couple of misclicks by my friend Jay Foolsguard, which is a shame. And it carried on building up your deck, until you get to the end. I think that Ticket to Ride is a really nice game, but it's got a little bit more luck than I'm in favor of. J Fool's Guard blocked Xate off accidentally, says Xate. And for the record, Xate is green, J Fool's Guard is blue. At this point, I was genuinely considering doing that, but I just want to say that I decided not to be mean. Then I was considering like going there at this point. It's just I don't know. No, don't be. But yeah. Then when I was like, oh my gosh, what if someone else just plays this? So I started going for the tiny things, which are relatively easy to do, and playing those bigger tracks when I can. I do also like on Board Game Arena. Just want to say how everything that you're still working on is blue, and once the destination cards are done, they go away. Again, I was lucky with this, and I just don't think there's that much to it. I don't. I think there's a bit of tension, and at this point it was just filling in d6s and trying to. I didn't play all my trains, but by placing sixes, again, not only do you get more points, but you also expedite the end of the game and you catch everyone else off guard. And I like Ticket to Ride as an occasion. Okay, we'll play it and then we'll do it quickly. On Board Game Arena, does seem to go more quickly than in real life, and you don't have to struggle to manage your hand. So this is a weird thing where I would actually rather play this. And now that I'm aware that it's available, is this a premium game? I can't even remember, because it feels like probably is a premium game. But if it isn't, I'll tell my friend. Yes, it is. Makes sense. It is a very nice production, but I know at least one friend in Bangkok who loves Ticket to Ride. I, in real life, I much prefer the shorter ones. London's nice. New York's okay, although the one long track does give it a little bit of weirdness because you've got this one race to get that one long track, and then if you've got a destination including that one long track and you get it, then you've basically won. But again, it's like a knife fight. I mean, if there is a lot of luck, if we accept that, then it just makes more sense to me to be a slightly shorter game, which is where the 15 minutes experiences of the city maps really come into the map. Sate says, I had the 6 yellow to block your yellow and I should have blocked it. So yeah, if we go back to the start, like, yeah, doing those yellows would have forced me to go up here, and then if you'd already done the yellows, then I would now have the option of the 4 here or the 4 here, but that would have slowed me down, and then in theory you could have gone there to force me to go there, and you would have gotten a bunch more points by doing that. So yeah, blocking a 6 track does feel like it is. And the fact that we're talking about this, the fact that we're still talking about this, is, I mean, that is one interesting thing about Ticket to Ride, isn't it? I mean, we've got the potential for this to be a bloody game. like a bloodthirsty game where you cut each other up. Figuratively speaking, please don't actually go cutting other people up. I mean, as if I need to say such a thing. Yeah, my gosh, why do it? Anyway, but yeah, Tickets Ride City Maps are what I much prefer. Now let's talk about Trusis, which is a game. So that is very much like, let me choose myself, I guess. Um, so everyone votes. Oh, is it going to be the? Let me, yeah, actually, let me just go. So you've got today phase where everyone's voting for people, and then there's a bit of discussion. Hey, I'm going to vote, and then at some point you lock in your votes, and then during night, the Trusis kills someone. Trusis is kind of like a werewolf, and that's the game. So you had humans who have absolutely no powers, Trusis who gets to kill someone each night. Um, there's a butcher who's on the Trusis team but basically appears as a human, and there's the Seeker who is choose myself, and yeah, there we go. The Sweeper who can check someone. One nice thing about this game, so it seems like, how can I put this? I suggested that this was 99% like Werewolf. I mean, it is Trusis by, I don't know who designed this. It's not credited on Board Game Geek, and on Board Game Arena, one person told me that they co-developed it in Italy. I mean, it seems plausible, and so they were. I noticed that they're basically playing about 90% of the games going on, so they're really working to build up the community, and I wish them success. They were saying that for them, it felt a bit simplified for them. Some versions of Werewolf are a bit too complex. I mean, yeah, here the characters do strike a balance between being. Look, there's a there's so many versions of Werewolf. I mean, since it was invented in the 80s by, I think, a US professor. My gosh, I feel like that's something that I should know. It's been repeated in so many different ways. People have brought up special variations. People have involved special rules, and it's kind of taken as granted that if you're talking about Werewolf, you're not really just talking about Werewolf, the public domain game. You're maybe talking about Werewolves of Miller's Hollow, or maybe you're talking about Ultimate Werewolf by Bezier Games. I'd been waiting for ages for this to. I'm just amused by this. All of us are first, except for these two people who are sixth. The game officially plays, I think, 5 to 30 players, and except everyone says 5 players is terrible, so why do you even have that? That feels weird. There's a nice character list that it says, okay, if there's 5 players, play with these 5. If there's a 6th player, add this. And so you're adding one more character for each additional player. And whilst it might not be perfectly balanced or perfectly suited for every situation out there, it's a nice starting thing and it makes sense. For the 5 players, yeah, it was a fine introduction to the game. Like a lot of werewolves, options, it was self-developed by Disu, says Xate. Yeah, the person told me that Disu is the main designer and they are kind of like the co-designer. But yeah, like that's just what I heard. So, but yeah, credits to Disu, who's whether they're the main or the only designer. Like all of these things are very like what's the designer of the game, what's the developer of the game. All of these things are very vague and loose. But yeah. So yeah, Disu has put in a bunch of roles that make sense. Um, but yeah, anyone who says this isn't just werewolf, I'm confused by it. There is my one, my strongest objection to this game, if I'm being honest, is that the voting's different to board game on Board Game Arena compared to how it's apparently is in real life. In actually, let me, yeah, cool. I can just stop. So in Board Game Arena, like someone votes, and then they swap their votes, and then they swap their votes, and then is this where? Yeah, I knew I was the bad person along with Papa Luigi. In the daytime, everyone wants it to be a tie if they're human because they don't want people to die just yet. At this point, where everyone had locked in their vote, then I swapped and then locked in my vote before anyone noticed. Um, See, I went from Papa Luigi to Vargo Holt. Haha. And then I fooled everyone, and no one noticed that I had done it. So that was an absolute delight. But so the way it works is you keep clicking the kill button or the vote button for who you want to vote to die. And then once you're done, you click pass, and then that's you locked in. Until then, the timer keeps going down. It incentivizes you. If you're playing to win, it incentivizes you to always be in the last two. Because if I was a human, I want to make sure it's a tie. If the tie is dependent on someone else, then I don't want to give them the opportunity to break the tie and kill someone that I'm concerned about. Yeah, it is very murdery. If you're, this is going to be the last game that I talk about today. So if you hate the idea of like, yeah, it's not like just. Actually, let me change that banner by Disu, Disu. I think that's how Xate spelt it. Um, by Disu, yes. Pardon me. So yes, as a Trusis on, I mean, I don't even know what this Trusis is. I think maybe it's an Italian word. I didn't check, but I get information. As the priest, I get potential information because maybe I try to save someone and then they don't die, which means that the bad team try to kill them. So I save them successfully. So I know they are definitely good. As a um, sweeper, I get potential information because if I find a Trusis, then they are definitely Trusis. If they are Castaway, they are definitely Castaway. If they are none, then I basically have no idea because they might be human, they might be a butcher, but still on the Trusis team. I have no idea. But like Trusis, with another Trusis, you get actual information. These characters, you get potential information, but butcher, human, human, human. Yeah, you're just guessing. You're just basing it on what other people are saying, and it doesn't feel as interesting as it could, I guess. Um, I would like, yeah, a system with a bit more going on. I do really like One Night Ultimate Werewolf. How in One Night Ultimate Werewolf they have a saying. They say, "Hey, here's the starting setup. That's a bit simpler. Here's one with a lot more going on. Here's a one with a bit more chaos. Here's one with a bit more information," and then you'll get to decide. And as the truth is, we killed someone. Then I again managed to engineer it so that there was a vote and a non-Trusis was killed, and then we won. It is much shorter than werewolf. It feels like a lot of, at least on Board Game Arena, a lot of this stuff is happening simultaneously, which is nice. And it feels like a totally fine, pleasant game. And I would play it again if some of my friends wanted to play it. But yeah, I don't feel like it is another werewolf. It is another variant of werewolf, and anyone who says it's not, I no. I mean, like, the voting is slightly different. Like I mentioned, in Board Game Arena, you keep swapping your votes, but then that leads to you potentially running out of time, and it's not a thing that can really work in real life. Apparently, in real life, it's just everyone goes round a circle secretly voting for one person, and that's it. Also, the fact that you don't know how people voted, it doesn't bring enough information. Because in traditional werewolf, where people say, "This is who I'm voting for," at least you get to know that. At least that brings something out into the open. And it felt to me like it's just, okay, the difference between 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, between an 8-player game and a, yeah, like, I mean, I guess must have done something well, or maybe I was just lucky, but yeah, I managed to become a guru at this game apparently. So yeah, it was, and this was a totally separate turn-based game, which again, I'm Trusis. I'm like, okay, what am I going to do? I can't manage to make it a. This was started before the other games finished after, so then I was okay. Let's make sure that I stack the votes and manage to kill a human during the daytime. Boom, I win, and it doesn't feel satisfying. It doesn't. I feel like a game like this, if you're going to play it on board game, it's not the kind of thing to shine on Board Game Arena because it relies on your it relies on there's I mean Resistance and then Resistance Avalon actually managed to turn social deduction games around in a format where you were getting information every single round. It would be a case of, okay, someone here, either the good team has progressed towards winning, or we know one of these people is bad because they have voted for the mission to fail. We know that for sure. We have now gotten more information than we had at the start of the game, and either way, the game moves on. There is zero elimination, and Resistance was like a revolution, pun not intended, um, for the social deduction genre. And so I think that to come back to something like this, where there is zero, it kind of feels like, you know what? There's another Italian version. No, yeah, an Italian version called Werewolf with an H. Werewolf. That werewolf is again, someone else played it. I think it was like a major Jane McGonigal, very famous person, came and played it with a big group of Gotcha, myself, and everyone. Hello, Yoda. It is lovely to see you. Just talking about social deduction. I've been talking about a bunch of Board Game Arena games, but there's so many versions, and if you look at Ultimate Werewolf by Bezier Games, that's one where it plays into, yeah, we're going to give you a little bits of information. Yeah, the humans have a bit of information. There's a lot going on. It's for people who played it a lot. It's about social deduction. Trusis, it's like, hey, we're going to make something super approachable. If someone's playing for the first time, it's not too much to learn. And it's 100% about social deduction. It's about looking at the people. It's about knowing whether they're lying. There's no facts. There's zero facts. There's nothing that you know for sure. Almost rarely. And yeah, I did once go up to them and say, "You might be Bezier, but I am the busiest." But yeah, it's nice. I mean, if you are into social deduction games, but your friends aren't, and your friends find them a bit complex, then this might be a good one. Conversely, if you like the idea of social deduction games, but don't want something to that has so many rules, then this might be a good one. But otherwise, personally, I would my favorites. I mean, I've played Growl, which is One Night Ultimate Werewolf. I'm a fan of. Like, honestly, I would go for One Night Ultimate Werewolf. That's my personal thing because you build up that social plot over and over, and it's fast enough you can keep playing. If it wasn't One Night Ultimate Werewolf, I would go for Resistance or Resistance Avalon. But yeah, oh, if you like Blood on the Clock Tower, that is kind of like the meatiest social deduction game. Blood on the Clock Tower is an interesting one, where it's got like everyone stays involved. There, even when you die, you've still got one vote, one night that you can do, and everyone's got stuff going on. There's a far more intricate web to deduce. So if you like a bit more complexity, then Blood on the Clock Tower is for you. Good shout out. Conversely, if you're like, hey, I want less complexity, then this is for me. And listen, like I played it so many times because I was like, I just want to know, is there something I'm missing? And yeah, I got to the end. I was like, yeah, there's not, no, I don't think there's anything I'm missing. I just feel like sure, there's stuff that could be pondered here, but there's not. If you're familiar with any other social deduction game, then there probably won't be any surprises here for you. Well, it's pleasant. It's pleasant. I'm not saying it's a bad game. Sate also wants to say to become a guru, you must have karma over 98. Email status should be okay. Be registered for at least a year. Have played at least 50 hours of correctly ended games in the last 30 days. Have I actually done that? 50 hours? I don't think I've played games for 50 hours. I mean, I guess it depends how you count that. How do you count an hour of playing a game? I mean, turn-based games? I mean, I guess if the clock keeps ticking while you're going, then yeah, sure, I've played. Sure, it's quite easy to play like 30 days of games, or maybe even if you play literally, if you played 3 games and then they kept going for the entire month, would that mean you've played 90 days of games? Yeah. So within all that, the top 100. No, that's okay. Apparently, my understanding is correct. Anyway, within all of that, the top 100 of all time are invited to be a guru, and so, oh, I thought I had that little thing to show off I was guru someone. Um, see, I had a guru, and to get to go to the game page, I never saw that before, and yeah, I if I so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 15, 16, 17. So basically, we are the only 17 players who fulfilled all those requirements. Presumably, there must be some delay then, because I didn't get it like literally immediately. How can I Trusis? So don't want to play it. But if I've apparently got yellow 200. How can I see the top players of the game? There's no rankings to display. There we go, that's what's going on. So yeah, probably we are the only 17 players with an ELO of over 100. That's what I'm assuming is going on. But yeah. And everything has a bit of a delay. Yeah, that makes sense. But anyway, so let me finish up and ask the question of the day. Question of the day, here's a little question before we go on our way. The question of the day is, no, I'm not answering you now. Decline. Why are you phoning me? Number that I have no idea of. So question of the day, here's a little question before we go on our way. My question of the day to you is, what is your favorite, have you played Board Game Arena in the last 30 days? What is your favorite game that you've played recently? And also, what's your favorite game in general that you've played recently? So, question of the day to says, what if it's a important live call-in viewer? Take it. I can call them back. Let me. No idea what's going on. What is your favorite game of the past month that you've played? Let me know. So, yeah, I think my supermarket delivery came a wee bit early. So, yeah, my answer is my favorite game is definitely Drones versus Seagulls. I am going to be getting my supermarket delivery and then doing some stuff. Hope you have a lovely day. To recap and wrap up before we finish up, I will quickly say that Linkage, really nice. Art Thief, intriguing. Rolling Pins would play again with full rules. Drones versus Seagulls, loved. Trusis, And check me out, Stuff by Bez, all of the places. Lots of love. Share, spread the word. Thank you very much, everyone. For now, bye, 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 bye. This is a goodbye song. Bye, 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 bye. Thank you for watching along. Bye, 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 bye. This is the end of the show. Bye, 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 bye. And now it's time to go. Bye, bye.